What's up, Infected? It's Wolf at the Quarantine. Now today I'm going to be reviewing a game that's coming to Kickstarter by the name of Heart of Crown Fairy Garden. As you see here, I already own the original Heart of Crown. I have the metal coins, whole 9 yards. I'm a big fan of Heart of Crown, so I was kind of stoked when Japanime Games reached out to me and mentioned that they were coming out with a standalone expansion called Fairy Garden. Now, if you're not sure what Heart of Crown is in general, Heart of Crown is a deck building game where everybody starts off with the same crappy little deck, and you're going to acquire cards, putting them into your deck. Your deck's going to be getting bigger and less efficient, and some strategies you're going to be getting rid of cards, other ones you're going to try to get cards that synergize with each other, whole 9 yards. But in Heart of Crown, you are trying to reach a coronation ceremony where you get 20 victory points and with your princess, and you are declared the winner and you are crowned the princess of the land, essentially. And that's basically what the game is. Now, of course, I do need to mention that everything you're going to see in this video is actually a Kickstarter prototype of the game. But now that's out of the way, let's head right over to the overview. Now what you see here is Heart of Crown Fairy Garden set up and ready to play. So you're going to put together the basic market like you see here. It's always going to have the same number of cards. You're going to put 4 curse cards for every player in the game. Then you're going to build the random market. Now the random market is going to be 10 out of the 30 unique sets of cards that Fairy Garden comes with. So as you see here, these are the cards that were not used. So each set has 5 cards. You're going to choose 5 or 10 of those 30, shuffle them all together to create a giant deck here. Then you're going to take the 2 rare cards, the actual Fairy Queen and the Imperial Crown, and you're going to give them a good shuffle in here as well. Now, if you're interested in more in-depth explanation how this game works, I have a tutorial that I will have up here once it's made available. That'll tell you every single rule in the game and how to play exactly. So this is just going to be a general overview. So on your turn, it plays just like a standard deck builder with a few variations. So you have, everybody starts out with their same crappy deck. You have 7 farming villages and 3 of this awful apprentice maids. So you're going to give a good shuffle, you're going to draw 5 cards, and on your turn, you're going to, there's 5 phases. You have the main phase, second phase, and then the cleanup phase, draw phase, and the market refill phase. So you're going to take these and you're going to play cards. Now here's the kicker. You have anything the card generates here, and you have the cost here. But then the cards also have an arrow. If they don't have an arrow, it's the end of a chain. Now what does that mean? So it means if I play this, there's an arrow here, I can play another card right next to it. So I can then play this card, and it has another arrow. I can then play this card, has another arrow, so on and so forth. So let's say I play this card, there's no arrows on that card. So this chain is a dead end. But some of the cards allow me to play down. So if I were to play this here, then the next card could be placed here, and then another one here, and so on and so forth. So it allows you to chain cards, and some of the more powerful cards, such as this, these are dead ends. Now, as you also see out here, the market is always going to have 8 unique cards in it. So, and I'll get to that a little bit more in the market refresh phase, but that's a very key part of the game. So once you've played all your cards, so in this case, I've dropped these 3 down, you're going to get your 3 coins, and then you're going to move to the second phase. Now this is where the kicker is. The second phase, there's 3 different actions you can choose from, and you're only allowed to do 1, but when you do the one, aside from getting a princess, you can do any number of them. So I can buy cards. So with these 3 coins, if I had the ability to say buy 2 of these 2 cards, or both of these cards, or whatever, then I can do that. You can buy, if I had 4 coins, I can spend all 4 coins, buy these. When you buy them, they go into your discard pile, and then you move into the cleanup phase. Cleanup phase, you're just going to be getting rid of everything, discarding cards, and so on and so forth. But I digress. Let's go back a little bit. The next action you could do is you can get a princess. Now, if you have 6 coins, they all cost 6, you can then choose one of these princesses. Now, they're all awesome. They all have their own special abilities, but let's face it, Clam's the best princess. And so you're going to take that and you're going to coronate your princess. And then the 3 highest territories here that you got, so You know, if I would have bought in a couple cities and then coronated a princess or crowned a princess at that point, these would be it. So you're going to take the 3 highest and you're going to put them into your domain. You're going to be able to store cards on them for use for later, but you could check out the tutorial for a little more explanation on that. But now you've coronated a princess, which leads me to the third action you could do in the second phase. The third action is you can play these succession cards into your domain. So over here is now officially your domain. That's where your territory's at, your princess is at, whole 9 yards. So on my turn, if I had a bunch of these cards in my hand, or maybe I only had one and there's nothing I really wanted to buy, I could take this and I can put it down here with my princess. Now these are going to give you victory points. However, keep in mind, some of these territories deduct victory points. And the very, very crappy apprentice maid, you can put her into your domain to get her out of your deck because she's awful, but she's also negative victory points. So your ultimate goal is to get to 20 points as faster than anybody else. And that's just going to slow you down. But once you've done all that, you're then going to move to, you know, like I said, the cleanup phase. Then you're going to do your draw phase. So you've discarded all your cards. You're going to draw back up to 5 cards. If you ever have to draw cards and you can't, you're going to take your discard pile, flip it over, give it a good shuffle, draw from that. Then you're going to refill the market. Now, this is the really interesting part of this game. There should always be 9 unique cards out here on the field. So when refreshing this market, you're going to flip over the top card and see if it's already out. If it is, so in this case it is, it's going to go there. And you're going to continue to do this until, let's say this isn't what I drew. You're going to continue to do this until you get a card that would go here that's unique. So now we look here, and we just drew like, what, 4 cards? Now we get this. Now the refill phase is over. So your opponent is always going to have 9 cards. There's 5 of everything except for the 2 rare cards. But once you've done that, your turn's over. You pass turn to the next player. This is going to continue until one player gets 20 points. Once they do, everybody gets one more round, and if nobody else gets 20 points, they're the winner. If somebody does get 20 points, you go to sudden death, and it's the first person to 30 points, but only the 2 people at 20 points are actually in that race. Everybody else is just sitting and cheering everybody on. All right, Heart of Crown Fairy Garden. Where to begin with this? So, Heart of Crown is probably one of my favorite deck builders. I almost want to say it's my favorite, but I don't know. I still love Tantakori quite a bit. It's still, I think, in the it's tied, really. I'd have to really sit down and play both a bunch of times to really figure out which one I like. So I've been trying to figure out how to do this review with the Expandalone, because for all intent and purpose, it's Heart of Crown. It's just got 30 new unique cards with it. That's it. It's got the same princesses. It's got the same basic market, your same starting decks. It just has some new tokens and 30 unique cards and 1 new rare card because they both use the crown, which isn't a bad thing. If you like Heart of Crown, just like Tantakori, every edition is pretty much the same thing with little extra things, which I love. If it's a deck builder that I enjoy, I don't want them changing big things. I want them to give me more, add little new things to make things interesting. And I'm totally cool with that. So with the way this works with Fairy Garden, I absolutely love it. I'm going to put that on the table now. If you love Heart of Crown or even just like Heart of Crown, this is an expansion you're going to want to get. It's just 30 unique cards. If you have all the expansions like I do so far, and have this, that is a lot of replayability. Now, the other thing I've been trying to think of is what to say in this review that I didn't already say in the Heart of Crown review, kind of how I already touched on. And that's probably the one big complaint that I do have with the game. Now, as a lot of you guys may know, I like to talk about the good and the bad. And to be honest, there's not a lot bad about Fairy Garden. Again, I love Heart of Crown. The only real negative, as I said in Heart of Crown, the original Heart of Crown review is if multiple people get to 20, then that, mad dash to 30, and whoever didn't get to 20 points is just kind of sitting there twiddling their thumbs. That's kind of lame, but honestly doesn't happen that often. But the biggest gripe that I have with this one, where it's an Expandalone, which is a term that I like to use, you have the exact same princesses, and that's boring, in my opinion. I would have liked to have seen maybe a new, or maybe even just a couple new princesses. You know, more princesses, more variety, gives you more strategies. That's awesome. I would have liked to had new princesses. That's the biggest gripe. You know, the fact that all the common cards are exactly the same artwork, which I get. Artwork's expensive, but still, you know, it's something I would have liked to have seen. With it being a completely expandalone game. Now, I'm not saying it's not worth it, because again, those 30 new cards alone are totally worth it. A lot of those new cards are nasty, they're really dirty. A lot of them have, I can't think of them off the top of my head, but a lot of them are super powerful if you can combine them right. And I haven't tried combining these ones with my base game, but just kind of looking over them, there can be some really devastating and very interesting combos that you're going to be able to pull off. Now, one other minor gripe that I had forgotten to mention a moment ago that I thought was kind of a weird removal from the game is the removal of defense cards. Now, the game Fairy Garden adds attack cards. There are a bunch of them. I don't want to say a bunch of them, that's kind of overboard, but there's quite a few. But there's no defense cards, doesn't add any. So if you just bought this one, you don't get defense cards. But if you use it with the base game, the rules that talk about combining, you don't get to use, it tells you to take out the defense cards. And I thought that was kind of weird, because that was, you know, some of those attack cards can be really nasty. And sometimes if somebody is buying these really nasty attack cards, your only saving grace is to use those defense cards. And I thought that was an odd design choice. So if you're going to be getting just Fairy Garden, just know that it is a very aggressive set. Now, if you're going to be getting it and you already own Heart of Crown, it's adding more aggression, is essentially what it is. But other than that, yes, I wholeheartedly, if you like Heart of Crown, there's no reason not to get this. You probably already are, to be honest, if you like Heart of Crown anyways. If you don't like Heart of Crown, there's nothing new here that's going to really make you just love it. It's a standard deck builder with a really interesting mechanic, which I absolutely adore. It's the keystone. Is that the right word? I don't know. It's the corner piece of the game, in my opinion. I love that market deck. It's so good. It's such a simple concept that adds so much stress and tension to an already stressful and tense game in a good way. Because you already have so many options with only really 3 or 4 things you're doing on a turn. You have so many options that you're just like, do I do this? How are you playing? What are you doing? How do I react to that? And it's really cool. So I could sit here and rant all day about Heart of Crown. I absolutely adore this game. Pick up the expansion. I'll have a link down in the description. That the link will be active. If I get an early link, it'll be active as soon as the Kickstarter goes live. Or what I'll probably wind up doing is just once it goes live, I'll add the link. So definitely check it out. The game is phenomenal. Anyways, this is turning into a rant. I'll see you guys next time in the Quarantine.